It's Wednesday night and we're back. Virtual Reality Racing Club competition, the BMW M3 Cup. And our first race of the season is in Saxony, would you believe? It's famous, this area, for many things. Music is one thing, woodcraft is another, carving and boring. Boring, hence me, the commentator. Someone who isn't boring is our co-commentator this weekend. She might actually disagree with me being boring, or maybe not. It's GB4 Vice Champion, Alicia Palmowski. Alicia, how are you?
I'm all good, thank you, Richard, and thank you very much for having me on today. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. We've known each other a while through various racing things, and congratulations on taking that slot in GB4. Absolutely mega achievement, and you know, good luck for next year. We'll talk more about whatever we can in terms of next year as the evening goes on, but fantastic to have you here in the commentary box for what is going to be a fantastic competition. We've got 8 weeks spread in the run-up to Christmas in what Rich Hayden has put together, being a sort of replica of the DTM schedule. Here's how we look. We've got a weekend off, a week off next week. I keep calling it weekends, as you'll see, Alicia. Sachsenring for the first one, Hockenheim in round 2, Oschersleben for the third round. Then we go to Lausitzring, followed by the Norisring, a trip to Zandvoort, and then the Red Bull Ring. Everybody loves a bit of Red Bull, don't they? And then round 8 is at the Nurburgring GP. So a couple of venues that we were using on the previous competition that I was involved with, which was the TCR based competition effectively, and we look forward to those. Those of you that are expecting Reeve Taylor to be with us as well, Reeve is going to join us. Can't do it for a couple of rounds, but he will be back with the last 2 events, Red Bull Ring and the Nurburgring. We've got a couple of other guest commentators joining us over the course of the 8 weeks, and we'll announce those just before they happen, probably the next couple of days. So that's where we are. But we've got a full entry. Rich Hayden can talk us through.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round one of the BMW M3 Cup. Just really wanted to put up a spotter's guide for all the cars. I think this Kenny Press does most of the liveries for us, for the drivers, which are free to our members, and he's done a fantastic job. This BMW M3 E36 with some quite classic liveries on there is looking great. So there you go, ladies and gents. There's the cars that you will be watching in this championship.
Brilliant. What a great entry. I think this is the first time with the club, with the current sort of iteration of drivers, that we've had all of the big names together at one time. I think we might have done on one World Endurance League race, which I did, but everybody here at the outset, it's going to be mega. And we've got some new drivers in as well. We've got drivers that are moving onwards and improving as they go on. Genuinely excited about this championship. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride, particularly with this new format that we have, with 3 races, 2 sprint races. We've got qualifying obviously first, and then a reverse grid feature race with pit stops. It's going to be an absolutely mega race. Now, as you mentioned, we're at the Sachsenring. This is the track graphic. First time we've been anti-clockwise for a while. Laguna Seca, I think, was anti-clockwise, wasn't it, on the Cooper Cup? But this one is as well. It's a great track, very old, nearly as old as me, Alicia. This one was first raced in 1927 on public roads. And they get something like 200,000 spectators for MotoGP. We had about 30 at Brands Hatch, and good old MSV were trying to pile them all out through one gate onto the main road. And it literally took nearly 2 hours to get out of the car park on Sunday at the BTCC final. Great that there were lots of people there, but I'm sure the Germans are much more efficient here at the Sachsenring. It's been used as a GP circuit from 2003. As you can see, it's 2.281 miles in length. And as ever, we have a hot lap, a little bit of a change for me, because the hot lap pilot this time is Jack Smith rather than Eric Axelson. So let's have a look at a lap around the Sachsenring. Thanks very much, Jack Smith, for that super ride around this wonderful track. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. Qualifying's underway. In the immediately preceding practice session, Eric Axel, I think, was quickest with a 1:25.713. Jack Smith tops the table at the moment as we look at Oliver Gibson, and Jack Smith was on a 1:25.81. So, Alicia, the question is, I guess you haven't driven this circuit for real, but maybe done a couple of laps on the sim?
Absolutely, yeah. I've done a few and watched some onboards as well, and it's a massively momentum-based circuit. There's a lot of really high-speed sweeping corners and a lot of patience required as well. such as like round turn 2 and 3, really, really long corner. Car is fully loaded up, but you've got to be so patient with the throttle, especially with these rear-wheel drive cars. You don't want to sort of apply throttle and then be jumping off and back on to upset the weight distribution of the car. So a lot of patience, very, very difficult to hook a lap together as well, because I've just noticed that Jack Smith's obviously quickest at the moment, and he's got a purple sector 1, but he hasn't actually got personal best sector 2s or 3s. So it's going to be crucial who can hook a lap together with all their 3 sectors in one lap.
Yeah, that's very much the aim of it, isn't it? And what did you do the laps in? Was it the same sort of car?
Similar, yeah. It was a Porsche, actually, Porsche 911, but very, very similar lap times. So gave me a good idea of what these guys are doing.
So if you don't check Porsche, that's a good one for next year, isn't it?
Whoops.
Free drives, please. Yes. Get as many manufacturers as you can into the commentary, and then ping it onto them and see what we can get. Right, okay. So Jack Smith there, Eric's second at the moment. Oliver Gibson. I mean, these are, with all due respect to everyone, these are probably the top 3 that we would expect to see. We're going to have a quick squeeze down the order and see who else we got. Scott Bugner down in 16th at the moment. It is early doors, but Scott was second in the TCR Championship, so we expect him to come up. I think realistically, there's actually nowhere to hide because all of these drivers are very, very quick in sim racing, and many of them will know that it's not all about winning it on one event, particularly where you've got 3 races over the course of the evening. But Jack on pole at the moment, Eric in P2, Oliver Gibson P3, Andy Dorman is up there as well in P4. Andy will be relieved that Reeve Taylor isn't here. Reeve's normally trying to get a free car service out of Andy Dorman because they live fairly local to each other. And Andy does the racing in his workshop, Alicia.
Say that bit again. Sorry, Richard.
And Andy Dorman does his racing in his workshop, or he was last time. So he's Reeve Taylor, who's a normal commentator, we service off him, I think, for one of his cars. But so there's some weird and wonderful places that these drivers tend to base themselves. Still Jack Smith out front, so it's Smith, Axelson and Gibson. Andy Dorman 4th. Scott Bugner, well, he has jumped up. He's up into 5th place. Then Adam Lyle, who was a 2-time winner in Cooper Cup, and he's always going to be up at the sharp end as well. It's Chris Blakey next up from Josh Martin. Josh is a bit of a character, Alicia, as well, so keep an eye on him, sort of stablemate of Eric Axelson. 9th is Lee Piercy. Interesting to see, and thank you to the drivers that pinged some notes through on the server for us, and I won't read them all out over the course of week 1. We'll keep some in reserve, but interesting to see. I didn't really know that much about Lee Piercy's background, but a kart champion, Formula Ford champion, BMW champion as well in his city plumbing and heating machine. And I know that his number 1 fan, Jude, will be watching as well. So we'll say hello to Jude and hope you enjoy the coverage. There is Thomas Potter, who was down at Brands Hatch with us at the weekend at the touring car meeting. And the Flying Teapot, as we call him, thanks to him and the team. Catherine made maybe one of their wonderful clocks. If you've not seen those, they use all sorts of things to make clocks out of. And I've got one of Thomas's kart tyres with the clock in the middle of it, which is absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much for that. I think Thomas it was a tyre that he wanted because there's plenty of tread on it as well. So that was really, really decent of him. Much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing how Thomas gets on as well as Olivia, because I noticed in their notes that they sent over, they both have said that actually their sort of Achilles heel is qualifying. Since Olivia, she's sort of done a lot of stock car racing, which is based on ovals in 2021 and 22, as well as racing some hot rods. So she said that she struggles with the qualifying as it's rarely done on ovals, as they use the grades, obviously, of the cars. And the same with Thomas Potter. He's obviously done a lot of karting before, as you mentioned. But he struggles a little bit with qualifying, he said, as he prefers the random grids over qualifying and karting. So interested to see if they can sort of get over their sort of fear of qualifying and improve a little bit.
Yeah, I think particularly with reverse grid racing, they get a very good, they get 2 chances, don't they, really, to make up positions in the other races. So that could be good for them. You've got a bit of a stock car history, haven't you? Well, not you personally, but your family.
Yeah, I do actually. It was my great-granddad was actually a stock car racing driver, Marian Palmowski, and that's where my surname comes from, actually, since he was Polish. You can probably tell, obviously, by my accent that I've got no link to Poland at all, apart from my granddad with my accent. But yeah, never met him, but that's sort of the reason that I got involved in motorsport. I've sort of always had it in my blood growing up, always grown up with the influence of motorsport around me. So yeah, quite a close link to stock cars really there, even though I've never actually ever done it myself.
That will be put right, I'm sure, as you continue to go up there. I'm surprised they haven't managed to drag you down to one of the meetings yet. I know your dad would be quite keen, wouldn't he, to get you along? And it is a good environment. I'd love to see it. That would be really good. Jack Smith's still there. Not much change at the top. How long have we got to go? I normally start writing these times down. As soon as I do, it's the pen of death. So if I write down a pole position, it will normally disappear. But, are we going to do that today? 2.5 minutes left. Okay, on this one, thanks, Rich. So Jack Smith's still there from Eric Axelson with Scott Bugner in P3, Oliver Gibson 4, then Andy Dorman, Adam Lyle, Chris Blakey next up. Let's have a look. Thomas Potter's 9th, Harry Ormerod. First time commentated on Harry. I don't know if he's a brand new driver or not, Harry Ormerod.
No, I'm live. So no, he's raced with us a while, but he's had a bit of a break, and he races BMW 1 Series in real life as well.
Oh, brilliant. Welcome back, Harry. And he's in the orange. Can we call him the Jaeger bomb? Because he's in the orange Jaeger car.
Absolutely. Which
is pretty good to see. So good luck to Harry. My football team, by the way, totally useless piece of information for anybody listening, is Blackpool. And Blackpool's colours are orange, the same as Harry Ormerod's car. One of the best Blackpool players of all time was Brett Ormerod, who played in orange. So like Harry Ormerod. So I don't know if they're related, but if they are, great. If not, not to worry. Daniel Heaps is next up. Daniel is another of, we've got 2 teenagers in this championship. Obviously, we've talked about Thomas Potter, but we've got Daniel Heaps as well, another driver with some short oval experience that Alicia was talking about. And Daniel 13th, just ahead of Olivia Krzyżanowska, who made her 2-litre hot rod debut at the weekend. And had some really good results as well by the look of it. I'm going to see if I can find the footage somewhere and have a look at that, but we'll talk to Olivia about that a little bit later on. Christian Gillian, hope I've got the pronunciation correct, in 50. Feel free to put phonetic explanations on surnames if I'm getting them wrong, or buzz me and tell me off, I don't mind. Kenny Press 16th from Sam Walton, John Jones, Alex Walker, Mark Stokes is our run at the moment. Flick very quickly up to the top, and it is Jack Smith still there from Eric. Unusual for me, because I haven't seen too much of Jack Smith racing when I've been commentating, but very unusual for me, Alicia, to see Eric Axelson down in P2.
Absolutely. I've been keen, actually. I've just been watching the track map on the track positioning and where the drivers have chosen to go out the pits. Initially, Jack Smith and Eric Axelson were very, very close together. So they've sort of been swapping between each other, trying to get a toe and slipstream. And as well, when you're behind a driver, it's sort of like a psychological aspect, really. It's like a placebo effect. But when you're behind a driver in qualifying, you actually tend to drive faster as you're chasing them rather than defending. So that might be something that they're both playing with. But obviously, Jack's got the upper hand at the moment with that.
He has, and that could be absolutely key. I mean, that's why you go for pole, because hopefully he'll get the clear run down into that reasonably tight turn 1 Coca-Cola curve here. If I'm hesitating, it's because I'm starting scribbling. So the pencil of doom is out for any of the drivers that are in the top 6. And we'll see whether it changes over. It normally does once I've done that. They'll see the checker flag come out on the graphics as soon as that is done. Wow, he is, yeah. So it's all happening with 22 seconds on the clock. Is Eric just going to pop a quick lap in? We're only going to talk. We're not talking to the top 3, by the way, in qualifying for this one. One, because of time, but also we're going to try and open up the broadcast to other people. Checker flag out on the session. And it is Jack Smith still there. Holds on from Eric Axelson in P2. So that is our provisional front row at the moment, barring any improvement. Scott Bugner has had a great session, really got into the groove. When a driver improves over the course of the session, as Scott did, tells me there might still be more to come from Scott Bugner. We'll wait and see whether that is the case, but great stuff from him. And Oliver Gibson pops in a 3rd place. Oliver Gibson up from 5th into 3rd place on the grid. Scott Bugner demoted on the last tour down into 4th place. Andy Dorman is 5th. Still provisional, hasn't crossed the line yet to take the checker. Chris Blakey there for a moment, and Chris a little bit further back. Let's have a quick look at, so it's Andy Dorman and Adam Lyle in 6th. 7th is Chris Blakey, who was parked up. And then 8th, Josh Martin, who's had a relatively quiet session. Cars are down there in pit lane ready for our interviews. Now, I've got on my schedule ad break. Are we having an ad break, or are we going straight into qualifying interviews? So let's have a quick break and we'll be back in just a moment with our pole position man, Jack Smith. So, first qualifying session of the 8 weeks is complete. Congratulations, Jack Smith. Well done, mate. How are you?
Yeah, great. Yeah, it was a really, really solid lap. So, yeah, happy with that. I was worried Eric would be right behind me, but he's I don't think he managed to get a lap in there, but because I know he's definitely got another 2 attempts in him, so I was a little bit worried he might pit me to right at the end there. But yeah, thankfully got the pole position, so that's good.
How closely do you look at the times that the other drivers set? I mean, obviously there's a whole bunch of people here that are all close at the sharp end of things, and do you keep an eye on the better times from the other drivers over the week?
Yeah, you always gotta keep your eye on what everyone else is doing. So yeah, I mean the pace just sort of increases over like the weeks up to the first round. So yeah, it's gotten to the point where I don't think there's too much left in the track. Maybe a couple hundredths, but I don't really know how much we can actually pull out of the car anymore. It's getting a bit ridiculous how fast we're going around here. But yeah, I'm just happy to have got almost the maximum out of the car in qualifying. Didn't want to push it too far and risk going in the gravel and stuff like that. But yeah, really happy to get that lap in.
That's good. Obviously, most of the sort of big run of commentary that I did with VRRC was on the Cooper Cup, which was front wheel drive. We didn't see you there. Why was that?
Just other commitments, unfortunately. I would have missed like 3 or 4 rounds.
Right.
So I thought it'd be, a better bet just to let other people who probably would be able to make more rounds than me to give them a shot at the championship. So I know I can make more rounds in the BMW Cup here. So yeah, we'll give it my all and see where we end up at the end of it.
That's great. I mean, it gives us an absolutely fantastic lineup, to be honest with you, and really, really excited for it. Mindset for 3 races, because this is something new. Obviously, we don't necessarily want your secrets in terms of when you're going to stop in race 3, but how much of a different experience is it for you?
Fairly, yeah. I mean, doing 15-minute sprints is going to be a massive change, I think. The half an hour race, I think we should be all right with. It's not too much different to what we were doing in the World Endurance League, so it should be okay. But yeah, sprint wise, it's going to be tricky. The tires are there. It's iffy depending on what tire you go for, and I think it's going to be a really, really interesting race to see the soft runners and the medium runners. So, and I know for a fact there's a few people in the roster at the minute going to be switching on those mediums. So yeah, we'll have to see how that ends up. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
Excellent. Well, good luck for the race. Congratulations on pole, and all being well, we'll speak to you on the podium a little bit later on.
Cheers, Richard.
Thanks very much, Jack. One of the things we're keen to do on the course of these broadcasts is to bring some other people in. We tend to get regulars on podiums and top 3s in qualifying. We don't always get the chance to focus on the drivers. So it's really nice to welcome Olivia Krzyżanowska. Olivia, great to have a chat with you. First of all, am I getting your name right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's Krzyżanowska. Rich got it right from the very beginning when he asked me for the pronunciation. So he's been pretty accurate with that, I'd say.
That's good. We were talking about your 2-litre hot rod debut while you were qualifying. How was that?
It's very different to kind of circuit racing. everyone's very close together. There's never a moment where you're not surrounded by another car, so it's something you've kind of got to get used to. Because you'll have the front runners right behind you that you've got to move out of the way, but still, keeping track with the drivers you're battling. So it does make for a lot of fun racing in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realise that short over racing, and I don't know how things have changed over the years, but my background years ago was that, and it technically is always reverse grid racing, isn't it? Do they still do that with the top point scorers starting behind newcomers and lower scoring drivers?
Yeah, they still sort it out with grades, and I do think it works great, because with, like, for example, in VRRC, you've got very quick drivers that are quick every single week, and you don't really see a chance for them, apart from the reverse grids, to make their way through the pack. With circuits, it's always, you always have the top runners very, very back, and then you kind of work your way down.
And the 2-litre hot rod, it's a space frame vehicle, isn't it? What shell are you running? And are all the space frame chassis effectively the same? Is it the bodies that are different, or does it vary car to car?
Not too sure on that side of things. I'm still kind of learning on the whole technicalities of it, but I don't think there's that massive a difference in the cars. I think
what body shape are you running in?
It's the car's a Peugeot 106, so I'll need to do my research into.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I was going to say the 106 is a great little car. I'm actually nagging one of the clubs to maybe bring the 2-litre hot rods onto the big circuits. So if we get around at Knock Hill, you'd have to stick some glass in it and come and race with us.
That'd be good.
That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? And have you got any sort of background family-wise, like Alicia has in racing? Because you tend to find that short oval racing is often in the blood. It's hereditary, and people sort of hand it down generation to generation. So is it mum or dad or granddad or anything like that done it?
My stepdad used to race bangers, and I believe he raced saloons, and he got me into it. So he was my route into the sport. And I do agree, it does seem to be a very much family-orientated thing.
Yeah, that's good. And is it Lochgelly you're racing at, or Kelvenbeath, or both?
Lochgelly, but we're looking into the English series. So all the tracks like Aldershot and...
Okay, well, give us a shout if you're coming down. We'll pop along and give you a cheer on.
Yeah.
That would be good. Gotta love a 2-litre hot rod. Well done. Olivia, thanks for the chat. Really good. Any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Probably R Masons, Speedworth, and I think of the rest. The ED Motors are probably my top.
Excellent, very good
sponsors
stuff.
that I've got.
Yeah, nice one, really good. Thank you for that. I think we're probably getting on to near race time, so good luck for the race, and you never know, we'll probably catch you on the podium real soon.
Hopefully.
Niva Krishnovska, who the first time we've managed to have a chat on the stream, so absolutely delighted for that one. We're looking forward to Sprint 1, first of 3 races, 15-minute race. Jack Smith on pole, starting in P2. Third on the grid, Scott Bugner, or was third on the grid, but dropped down. We've got Oliver Smith moving up into third, then Scott Bugner, followed by 5th position and Dorman 6, Adam Lyle, then it is Chris Blakey and Josh Martin into 6th position.
So can
I have a look at the...
Can I just come in
a
second? Sorry, we're having a bit of a technical issue, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I am going to have to stop the server and restart it a couple of times. It's not letting me back in for some reason. So
that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good at the moment. So I'm just I am live at the moment, so everybody can hear me. So bear with me, ladies and gents. I'm just trying to sort the problem out.
Okay. I'm not sure if anyone will hear us in the reboot, but I was going to ask Alicia, you've zapped down today, I think, from Silverstone. Are you allowed to say what you were driving today?
No, I'm not. Sorry. It's that awkward time of the year, really, at the last few rounds, where everybody asks about what are your plans for next season, and it's just awful because I'd love to just shout and tell the world what's going on, but I'm not allowed to at the moment. So,
no, sorry. Enough. But you are. What we can say is that you are, as most drivers are now, getting ready for next season, making all the preps, talking to people, and announcements will happen when they're able to.
Absolutely, it's always a busy time of year, as I mentioned, towards the end of the season, and it's a nice position that we're in currently, because it's always been sort of a year-by-year basis that we've been racing on, seeing what we could do the year after, and heavily based on budget as well. We are on a limited budget as a family, knowing what we could do the year after, but all the plans are sorted now for next year, so it's really nice to have that security this early on in the year, or this much prior anyway to the season start next year. So yeah, hopefully we should have an announcement coming in the next 2 to 3 months, I'm hoping. Just so excited to tell everybody. But yeah, in the meantime, just keeping in the gym, keeping fit, keeping preparing, getting ready. Yeah, looking forward to it.
What's a gym?
What's a gym?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a fan. I don't like gym.
I don't think of gyms. I always think about the physical fitness stuff they put you through at Ginetta. Or a scholarship was the thing that you won a few years ago. And that was a good platform for you. They've got their this year's scholarship is this weekend, I think.
It is, yes, yeah. And I think it's actually going to be the first time in the last 4 years that I'm not going to the scholarship. So I'm quite sad, really, that I'm not able to make it this year. But really, really excited. It's such a great opportunity for young drivers. I mean, I'd have never even entered a car race without that scholarship. So it really is a life-changing opportunity. And I even lied to you in the media and managed to win it, Richard. So
I wasn't even going to go there. I thought I'd back on. I buried that one. Yeah, we saw through you. We knew what you were about, but you know, it's yeah, funny. Yeah, first time for 4 years you've not been. I've been the last 7, and I'm not going this weekend because we've got the VRRC finals at Silverstone, and obviously having
who's
worked
doing
on
it then, if you're
Jade Edwards is doing it. Yeah. So
wow, amazing. Okay.
Yeah, so Jade's been very, very gracious and you know, sort of asked about how we do it, and I said basically, Jade, do your own thing, but we've given her some pointers, and she's going to keep us updated as to how that scholarship is going. But as you say, it's a massive thing, isn't it? I was talking to Daniela Sutton's dad the other day. Obviously, Daniela won the BRSEC scholarship last year, and he just said like the opportunities that they've got coming up next year, they wouldn't have had if she hadn't been on the grid courtesy of the Fiesta scholarship. So they are massive things, and you know, sometimes they'll go to drivers that are already committed to the championship. We saw that the year Robert DeHaan was in it, although Maurice Henry of course won that year as well. But when you get the parents saying, oh well, you know, we're doing it already, so we're not going to win, that's never been a thing with Ginetta, and I can tell you it won't be with BRSEC as well. But mega opportunity to get you on the grid. And Alicia, I've got to say, you know, I mean, you were quick in karts, but to take the runner-up slot in GB4, and I'm guessing over the course of the season, you probably had to think about budget still. Do you have to not temper your driving, but I'm guessing you probably have to worry from time to time about, you know, what you can do on the money you've got.
Yeah, of course. Naturally, it's sort of ingrained in me in the back of my head that we are on a tighter budget as a family. But that's why the GB4 Championship is so great equally. Because sort of the budget that you're looking at for British F4, which is obviously the leading single-seater Formula 4 series in the UK, you're looking at a budget of around $500,000. Whereas for GB4, you're looking at a fraction of that cost. You're looking at a third, maybe, a quarter to a third of that price. So huge thank you to MSV and Jonathan Palmer, because without them, I'd have never would have sat in a single-seater race car, as I wouldn't have sat in a Ginetta race car without that scholarship. So it's really given me a great opportunity. My first year in single seaters this year, a huge learning curve. But yeah, to come out a second in the end, it was. Sorry, Rich.
That's all right, Rich. Thanks. There you go. It's a great chance to have a natter with Alicia about that. And Elite Motorsport, of course, your team. You've been working well with them. We'll maybe talk more about that a little bit later on. We are ready to race. Thanks everyone for your patience, and I hope you were able to stay with us and just enjoy the little bit of insight that we had there. A couple of minutes to go before the start of the race. Alicia, pre-race nerves. Tell us about those.
Very, very nerve-wracking. I think this moment where all the drivers are now is definitely the most nerve-wracking part of a race weekend. It's where you're on your own, you've not got any other influence, and you've got no team members around you. It's just you and the car, really trying to just control those nerves, get him in the right headspace. And I was going to say sort of plan what you're going to do, but that plan always goes straight out of the window as soon as the lights go out. You can never prep for a race, really. So, yeah, it's just about trying to stay as calm as possible, although that is a big challenge.
Yeah, difficult. And also when it's the first race of a campaign, you're not quite sure if there's a few newcomers in the mix as well. That just throws the doubt in even further, doesn't it?
Exactly, you never really know what to expect. And obviously, as of course, you want to push. You're a racing driver, you want to win every race that you enter. But you've also got to be considered, especially being the first race of the year. You don't want to have a DNF, start the season with no points on the board. So it's a very, very difficult ball game, really. It's very difficult to judge, but you've got to go for it, but will still be considered. So it'll be interesting to see what the drivers' game plans are and how they get on.
Yeah, really looking forward to this race. So we're very, very nearly ready for the start of the first race of the campaign. Remember, next week or 2 weeks' time, we are at Hockenheim, but our first 3 races here at the Sachsenring. I've got a nice blank bit of paper with spaces for all the results to go in, so I could be a complete anorak over the course of the 8 weeks, which I know Reeve was having a little chuckle at, and probably you would as well, the amount of paper that we carry into this one. Jack Smith on pole. He was really quite forensic, wasn't he, with his lap, and also being aware of what Eric Axelsen was up to in P2. As we look down, the drivers can see the count now. We've got 36 seconds before the start of the race. It's Oliver Gibson, P3, Scott Bugner on P4. I think this might be the first time I've seen Scott race rear-wheel drive, because in real life I've seen him in front-wheel drive, and of course he did the TCR Championship very well indeed. 18 seconds to go. Nerves, I tell you what's going to make the nerves even more. Lighting sequence about to get underway here at the Sachsenring, as we have the lighting on now. Jack Smith and Eric Axelsen on the front of the grid. It's a pretty long wait, but we're racing here, and it's a good start from Jack Smith. Gets away well, goes down towards the right-hander at turn 1. Eric Axelsen in second position. This is where the bun fight will start to happen, and it's pretty good. Pretty good start by everybody. We've got some quality drivers up at the front, and the abilities, of course, all sorted out via the qualifying as they head around the Castrol Omega part of the section, turns 2, 3 and 4, round now into turn 5. But Alicia, that was a pretty decent start by everybody.
Absolutely, really impressed to see that everybody made it through turn 1 unscathed. It's a very, very tricky circuit. I mean, turn 1 really tightens up on the exit, so I expected to see a few drivers squeezed off wide, but it looks like they've all managed to get through cleanly, so that's a great start.
Yeah, in racing terms, people might say it's a boring one, because they've pretty much all gone off in the order they started. Smith from Axelsen, Gibson, Bugner, Blakey. Lee Pearce has made some good progress there, so well done, Lee. I know one of the advocates of having the BMW Championship. And here we're starting to see the undulations. We didn't really see it so much on the hot lap, but you do here with the outfield cameras. So it's Smith from Axelsen. This is going to be a mouth-watering battle between the pair of them, with Oliver Gibson back in third place at the moment. Scott Bugner in P4. Those 4 beginning to break away a little bit from Chris Blakey and Lee Pearcey. Paul Laramie 7th. Thomas Potter's got up into 8th place, so the Flying Teapot having a good go. And Olivia Krzyżanowska, who hasn't got Catherine Potter for company this weekend. Thomas's sister, Alicia, normally has been racing with us. And Olivia and Catherine have been very, very close on all the rounds that I've called as we look at this battle for the race lead. Jack Smith starting to get in his stride a little bit now. Have you given much thought, Alicia, to tyre wear, and not necessarily so much this one, but when it comes to the half-hour race, what would you do?
Absolutely. I mean, that's going to be something that's massively on the drivers' minds. The more and more the race gets on, obviously, the more and more the tyres get worn, and it's an extremely high-speed circuit as well. So around the likes of turn 5 and 6, the double left-hander, it's extremely quick. The car will be very, very loaded. A lot of weight on the outside rear tyres, on the outside right-hand side tyres. So they might end up having snaps of oversteer, especially as the tyres get worn towards the end of the race. So they're really going to want to push at the early stages of the race, but equally try and conserve and make sure that the tyres are still alive at the end of the race. So be exciting to see those last few laps and see if anybody's tyres do drop off and who manages to keep the pace and who doesn't.
One of the things we were going to do is follow our featured driver, Olivia Krzyżanowska, in 9th position. And behind Olivia is Daniel Heaps, one of our new drivers as well. But Olivia looking pretty confident at the moment in that 9th position. So results-wise, Olivia's really been sort of gaining confidence and getting better, raced in the World Endurance League with us and in the Cupras, and kept banging in result after result, getting much higher up the finishing order as things went on. And this is going to dovetail with her experience in the real racing world as well. Heaps and Gilliam having a good battle behind and trading places. Then it is Harry Ormerod down behind them. We'll see a flash of orange, but back up to the front, Erik Axelsson trying to close down on the lead. I think he might be a tad closer, Alicia, than when we last saw him. So he's maybe starting to get into a little bit of race rhythm here.
Absolutely. Jack's under a lot of pressure right now. It's always nerve-wracking when you're leading a race and you've got somebody that close behind you, but you really just want to sort of forget they're there. You obviously want to look in your mirror and make sure you're aware of where they are and whether they're gaining or not. But equally, you just try to do qualifying lap after qualifying lap. As we've got a battle on there. Who are these two?
Yeah, Gilliam and Heaps have. Yeah, Gilliam and Heaps, and Harry Ormerod has gone through the Jaeger bombs, managed to slice his way through. You've got to have a bit of Jägermeister, haven't you, when you're in Germany? Have you been to Germany, Alicia?
No, I've never been to Germany, no.
Oh, your dad will be gunning for you to go out there. Who knows? Maybe next season, eh?
Maybe. I know.
Oh, little punt on. Oh, punt on the back end. It's a shame for Ormerod. So he is punted down. He's down in 14th place now. He's managed to, I think, rejoin and get momentum back ahead of Adam Lyle. Adam's in 15th place from Mark Stokes to Kenny Press. So he has lost a couple of positions there. So disappointing for him. And they were involved in a good close battle. So we'll see whether there's any need for judicials. We'll talk about judicials next week when poor old Rich has managed to sort all those out. But it's still Smith, Axelsson and Gibson 1, 2 and 3. And I've got to say that Oliver Gibson here is closer to Erik Axelsson at the moment. Going to name drop Oliver Gibson. Met him and the family of Croft this year, which was one of my... it was a lovely weekend socially, but a rubbish one race-wise, because I had to go all the way to Yorkshire to commentate on one race, which was a bit overkill, really. But good for the viewers that they only had the one. But you can see that Oliver Gibson is really piling the pressure on now. In the laps you've done, what would be your best place to make a pass, do you think?
Well, obviously, turn one has got to be one of the main opportunities. There's not many big braking zones, which is obviously the best chance to make a pass. Although It looks really... Oh, is he... No, not quite. But yeah, you're looking at the big braking zones, such as turn 11. There's quite a late apex into turn 11, so that's a good passing opportunity to try and get up the inside there. It looks like Oliver's got a really good run there on the approach to turn one. Yeah, it does.
Jack's going to make the most of this, though, and start to get away. He's building a little bit of a gap as Oliver Gibson goes to the outside run here. Erik Axelsson having to defend a little bit. We are back to normal on our podium interviews, by the way, so we'll get to talk to 3, 2 and 1 in the race. That's a lovely shot, isn't it? It's a good cameraman. Is that Jonathan Palmer going off in the helicopter there, by the way?
I was just about to say that. The graphics are amazing.
They are absolutely superb, aren't they? Great battle here for P2. Erik Axelsson. Unusual for me to see Erik having to defend, but this is the quality of the entry we've got here in Sachsenring for our opening round. And Scott Bugner in 4th is not that far away. Someone once told me that if you look at any point series, if you finish every race in 4th place, you'd be in with a shout at the championship. I'm not sure that's going to be Scott's plan, because he'll want to win some. He's an absolute out-and-out racer. I'm not sure if we have track limits here, do we? Rich might be able to come in and tell me about that. If he's
I'm hoping not watching this, to be honest.
Hi, yeah. Sorry, I was just finishing some flapjack. Sorry about that. So yeah, the track limits are 2 tyres inside either the white line or the extended curb. So that's within limits there that you see, because they've still got their 2 tyres on the curb.
Oh, thank you for that. And Jack Smith now, what's he, 1.3? I haven't even looked at the gap yet, such as this has been. We're around about halfway through the first of the sprint races here. So still Smith, Axelsson, Gibson and Bugner. Chris Blakey running well in 5th from Lee Pearcey, Paul Laramie. Thomas Potter now in 8th place. Olivia Krzyżanowska is in 9th. And then Christian Gillian in the number 16 black and yellow car, who was involved, one of the 3 cars that were involved with that issue that we had for Harry Ormerod, is there in 10th. Ormerod actually still in 13th, so he's not lost too much ground. He's recovering well, 13th at the moment, trying to close down on Alex Walker. So we're looking at that battle as well. So Alex Walker up at the moment ahead of, there is Ormerod, and then we've got the number 4 car in the mix as well. So that is Alex Walker, the number 4. So he's busy chasing John Jones, 639, as Jack Smith completes his 5th lap as he crosses the line just under a second. So things may be closing up a little bit. Running a little bit wide there. So Ormerod's made a really good recovery here, and it's important, isn't it, to not let any incidents, assuming the car's not damaged, let them get to you as Ormerod tries to make a good move through on the inside of Walker. Oh, and then that tail happy there. Out comes the tail. He's going to lose a bit of momentum. 1 place very nearly gained and 2 lost. Adam Lyle coming back up into the mix now. Adam Lyle to the outside there, Alicia, as they climb uphill.
Yeah, I wonder if Alex gave him a little tap just to help with that then. I'm not sure, did he see close enough? But something that I've noticed that Alex is doing is he's sort of pulling out of the slipstream from being directly behind the driver in front, just to try and distract him a little bit on the entry to corners. So it obviously hasn't worked at the minute, and it's put him on the back foot a little bit. But that is a distraction technique that definitely sometimes works. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on if that does work and the pressure builds.
How much of a change was it moving from, I mean, this is as near as we can get to this for what you've driven is the Ginetta Juniors, isn't it? But
yes.
how much of a leap was it from that up into single seaters with GB4?
Massive, to be honest. You're looking at sort of round like any sort of lap time around the UK, sort of at Donington, Snetterton, any of your main circuits, they're 30 plus seconds a lap quicker. So a lot faster. In a straight line, they're about 30 miles an hour quicker, but it's basically around the corners with the downforce and aero that we gain all our time. And we actually can lap in a GB4 car, in a Formula 4 car, the same time as push Carrera Cup cars, and we're actually quicker than touring cars. So they're very, very quick cars, but the car control that the Ginetta Junior teaches you, being rear-wheel drive, being on road tyres rather than slick tyres, is immense, and that's directly translated into the single-seater. So it's really, really helped me in that transition. So full credit again to the Ginetta Junior. They're very, very difficult cars to drive, but that's helped me massively now.
Yeah, it's an eye-opener, isn't it, about the speed now. As Adam Lyle goes through past on the inside line of Alex Walker, they're still side-by-side, a little bit of paint trading between the two, metaphoric virtual paint trading, of course. And this is where you said they might get the run, but Lyle's going to find himself on the wrong side of the track here for the right-hander. And it looks like, well, oh, no, is he? He's got a good sweep round the outside and just goes in. That was good, wasn't it?
Awesome. You don't normally see passes around the outside like that, especially with turn 1, how it tightens on the exit. So fair play. He's got good momentum now as well. He's going for another place. Yeah,
Adam Lyle, we're used to seeing him as a regular on the podium. So maybe he'll be able to get up towards that in the later races. Going back to what you were saying about the speeds of the single seaters, I generally in the commentary tend to shy away from talking about F4s, or when we've had guests actually with the Radical, which are very, very quick indeed as well. And I tend not to make the point because it can not devalue the Carrera Cup racing, but I think the idea is that Carrera Cup's supposed to be the quickest thing on the paddock for the fans to enjoy. So I tend not to get into that debate. And of course, they're all quicker than touring cars, which is the star formula.
It's the irony of it, isn't it?
It is, but touring cars provide great racing, and I keep saying to people, we don't need to keep making these formulae faster and faster. They've just brought out a new GB3 car as well. Is there a new GB4 next year as well?
Oh, they've got some action going on here. Hold on, Rich.
Yeah.
Say again, new GB4, yes, new GB4 car for next year. It's actually the current GB3 car that's been demoted down to the GB4, so a lot of upgrades, and it's looking really exciting next year for the future of GB4. So really looking forward to seeing how that goes.
I wish they'd just stop making them faster. They've got to stop at some point because some of the tracks, so they're outgrowing some of the tracks. We can't. I mean, F4 are going to Knock Hill again next year, but at some point someone's going to question whether that's a sensible thing to do. So
yeah, I think I heard a rumour that GB3 might not be going back to Alton Park. With it, they're just too fast now. Apparently, I don't know whether that's true or whether that is a rumour, but yeah, they are getting extremely quick now, 100%.
Yeah, one place where we can keep a check on things is here, virtual reality racing, and Eric Axelsen has done a good job here, and still piling the pressure on Smith at the front at the moment. So Jack Smith, pole position man, under a fair bit of pressure, but Eric Axelsen still there. 1:56 on the clock, 1:26 the best lap of the race. So we've probably got another 2 laps to go of first sprint race of the day, and Eric Axelsson is starting in the Dean Martin Contractors car, starting to pile a little bit of pressure on here, having managed to either shake off Oliver Gibbs. I don't know if Oliver had a moment. Scott Bugner's still there in fourth. They're not really close enough to challenge for a podium position at the moment, but very handy points. And then a wee bit of a gap back to Paul Laramie in the magenta, I think it is, if I remember correctly, coloured car, but still on for first and second. But Jack Smith hasn't made, I haven't seen any mistakes so far, so could well be on for pole and win here. Have a quick look at fastest laps as well. 1:26.330, fastest lap of the race, actually, with Eric Axelsson in P2.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really close battle going on here. I wonder if Jack maybe took too much life out of his tyres too early on, which is why maybe Eric's been able to close back in on the latter stages of the race. But having said that, they both set the fastest lap on the last lap. And as you mentioned, Eric's currently got the fastest lap at a 26.330, but Jack's fastest is a 26.332. So absolutely nothing between the two. Oh,
Here he comes.
Maybe.
Oh, he's having a look. There's a brave run. That's the uphill section. He was having a look. You know, Jack said in the interview that he felt that Eric maybe had another couple of tenths there. He will have wished that the clock had run down. We're definitely on to the last lap of this one now, and I think Oliver Gibson's starting to close in as these two start to just have a little bit of mind gaming with each other. It's bringing the third place car, Oliver Gibson, back into it as well. So the downhill run now, as they go through the Castro Omega run, then they'll go up through Sternquail corner, and then uphill again down towards the seventh turn, which they do now. But as a result, things sort of, it looks like Eric's run has been extinguished now on this last lap. So it's Jack Smith still clear, Eric Axelsson in P2 and Oliver Gibson P3. Decent solid way really for these guys to get their campaign underway. Olivia Krzyżanowska still running as well, our driver that we spoke to on just after our qualifying podium, down in 13th at the moment. Olivia, Harry Ormerod's managed to get past her, but all good stuff from the top three. Consistent, couple of challenges, but solid race so far, Alicia.
Absolutely, yeah. I think maybe Eric might have compromised himself coming out of that, having that little lunge into the final corner, since he's sort of lost his momentum a little bit on this lap. But no, absolutely great job from Jack, and great start to the championship.
It is indeed. It's going to come out and buzz the pit wall and take the checker flag. Well done to Jack Smith, Eric Axelsson P2, Oliver Gibson in third, Scott Bugner, first driver off the podium, takes that fourth place from Chris Blakey in fifth, then Paul Laramie, Lee Piercy in seventh, then it was Christian Gillian next up in eighth place from Adam Lyle. Worked really well, great progress from Adam Lyle. Harry Ormerod, good recovery for him from Andy Dorman, 11th. Olivia Krzyżanowska makes up a place up into 12th on the final lap. Then it was Alex Walker, followed by John Jones, Kenny Press. Thomas Potter, looks like Thomas had a problem in the later stages, down to 16th place. Then we've got Daniel Heaps on his debut with us. Well done, Daniel, 16th position from Sam Walton. Next up, some of these drivers still coming across the line, by the way. Thomas dropping back, so maybe out of it. I think that's maybe what the red marker is for, and Mark Stokes. Next up, we're going to take a quick ad break, and we'll be back with podium interviews in just a minute.